Okay, now we are on multiplication of polynomials. This is section 5.6 in your book. First of all, just monomial times polynomial. This is something you've done before, and so we'll only do one example of it, but you should find it very straightforward. We're just going to distribute that polynomial at the beginning in the first set of parentheses to the polynomial in the second set of parentheses. So I'll have negative 4u squared v times 2u, negative 4u squared v times negative 5uv cubed. Negative times negative will give me positive, and then I'll have the 4u squared v times the 5uv cubed. Negative 4u squared v times v. So I'm just taking that monomial at the beginning and distributing it all the way through. Now I'll have negative 4 times 2. That will give me the number part of the first term. I'll get negative 8. U squared times u. Now that I'm multiplying, I don't need things to be like terms. I'm multiplying. So u squared times u will be u cubed, then v. Okay, for the middle term, 4 times 5 will give me 20. U squared times u will give me u to the third. V times v cubed will give me v to the fourth, so that gives me my middle term. And then for the last term, my 4u squared is the same. V times v gives me a v squared. So if you have a monomial times a polynomial, you're just distributing and then using your exponent rules. Stuff that you should be pretty familiar with. Okay, let's go on to polynomial times polynomial. Traditionally, we do this using FOIL. Now, if you've not heard of FOIL, that's okay. I'm going to go back and explain FOIL, both to those that have never heard of it and to those that have, to see actually why it works. Let's say that we had x plus 5 times x minus 6. I'm going to kind of distribute that x minus 6 to each term in that first set of parentheses. I could do the same thing by distributing the x plus 5 to that set of parentheses, but then I won't get FOIL out, I'll get FEOL out, and I want it to spell FOIL. Now, if I distribute the x through, I'd have x times x and x times negative 6. Then I'll distribute the 5 times x and 5 times negative 6. So I get x squared minus 6x plus 5x minus 30. Okay, if you notice where these terms come from, the x squared came by taking the first term in x plus 5 and the first term in x minus 6. The F stands for first. So I take the first term in each set of parentheses and multiply those together. X times x gives me x squared. The O stands for outside. So if I look at the outside terms, x from the first set, negative 6 from the second set, I'll get negative 6x when I multiply those. I stands for inside. So if I look at the inside terms, the 5 from the first set and the x from the second set, 5 times x, and I'll get 5x. L stands for last. 5 times negative 6. The last term in each set of parentheses multiplied together will give me negative 30. So that is FOIL, and that's why it works. You don't need to do the intermediate step. You can just go directly to FOIL. So multiply this using FOIL. F first. I'll take 7y times 3y. That will give me 21y squared. Now to the outside. The outside will give me 7y times negative 5. Now to the inside. 1 times 3y. Now do the last. 1 times negative 5. So we have 7y times 3y would give me 21y squared. 7y times negative 5 would give me negative 35y. 1 times 3y would give me 3y. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. I look to see if I have any like terms, and my middle terms are like terms. So I'd get 21y squared minus 32y minus 5. And that is how I multiply a polynomial times polynomial using FOIL. Now we will do more examples, but before I do them, I want to introduce another method. This is called the vertical method. To explain the vertical method, I want to just review it with numbers. If I were to take 123 times 42, do you remember how you do that? You'd take 2 times 3 and get 6, 2 times 2 and get 4, 2 times 1 and get 2. Then you'd put in a placeholder of 0. 4 times 3 is 12, put the 2 there, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, add 1 and I get 9. 4 times 1 is 4, and then I'd add everything together. 6, 6, 11, carry the 1, 5, so I'd get 5,166. Now the vertical method is very similar with polynomials. I'll take negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 7y is negative 35y. You can think of putting in a placeholder, and then 3y times 1, I'm going to put the 3y under the negative 35y. The reason I want to do that is because they are like terms. Putting in a placeholder helps me keep my like terms together. And 3y times 7y is 21y squared. Add everything together, negative 5, negative 32y, and 21y squared. So obviously it's the same answer as I had before, and if you just have a binomial times a binomial, it's probably just as easy to do FOIL, but as soon as you have a longer polynomial, it's a lot easier to you do the vertical method, so it's well worth learning. Okay, we will do some examples using both methods in just a minute.